just want to go through what we call an illustration. This gives an indication of where your money will be invested, the funds it will be invested in, and also the charges that apply to the plan. As you can see at the top of the document, it is with Std Life. So the Std Life is who we're going to be using for your pension. On the front page of the illustration, there are just some summary highlights. The first bit is what your benefits could be in June 2053, and this shows two figures. One is a figure where you have taken no tax-free cash, which is £18,700 per year, and the other is where you've taken tax-free cash of £100,000 and you're going to get a pension of £14,000 per year. It shows what you will be paying in, which is £1,250 per month on a gross basis, and a single premium of £25,000. We'll cover off the funds that we're going to be invested in and also what your plan costs are. It says they're 2.1%. I will show you a breakdown through the illustration as to where those charges are made. One thing I would like to make very clear from the outset is there are no guarantees on the figures within this document. These are all just illustrations based on a number of assumptions. So, what might your benefits be? The regulator, which is the Financial Conduct Authority, lets us quote at three different growth rates: low, mid and high. Now in this example, the low growth rate is a growth rate of minus 0.5%, the mid growth rate is a growth rate of 2.5%, and the high growth rate is a growth rate of 5.5%. What these figures also have built in is the effects of inflation. So we have taken 2% as the rate of inflation to build into these growth rates. So these figures are what we call inflation adjusted. So what might your benefits be when you retire in June 2053? If we were to look at the low rate, which is a growth rate of minus 0.5%, your plan value may be 242,000. If it grew at the mid rate, which is 2.5%, it may be 400,000. And if it grew at 5.5%, it could be as high as 700,000. Just for the purpose of the illustration, we'll just use the mid rate as the example. So as I said, if your fund grew at the mid rate, which is 2.5%, allowing for inflation of 2%, your fund would be worth £400,000. You could, based on annuity rates as they are today, get a pension of £18,700 per annum, which is without taking any tax-free cash, or you could take a tax-free cash lump sum of £100,000, which is 25% of the plan value, which is the maximum you're allowed with today's legislation, and take a pension of £14,000 per annum. There are some assumptions made in these annuity rates, and these are that you will get a monthly pension from when you retire until you were to die. It will be paid for 5 years, irrespective of whether you survive this or not. So if you died in the first 5 years, the plan would still pay out to the end of 5 years to your estate. There will be no increases in this pension, and there would be no dependent pension on your death. So the pension would die with you after the 5 years. What is going to be paid in? So as we agreed at the first meeting, you said you would be quite happy to put £1,000 of your own money in per month from your bank account. Now what happens with this £1,000 when it gets paid to Std Life? Std Life will apply to get what we call basic rate tax relief. So this is a further 25% on top of your contribution. So it would actually be, there would be £1,250 going in on a monthly basis, but you would only be paying £1,000. And the same with the single premium, you would pay £20,000. Std Life would claim the tax relief, which would be another £5,000. So there would be £25,000 going in. So on a monthly basis, there would be £1,250, and the single premium would be £25,000. Again, there are some assumptions that have been made, and this is that the plan will start now. It will be paid for another 31 years and 3 months, and the last payment would be May 2053, and this wouldn't increase. As I said, we will review this on a regular basis to try and make sure that we achieve our goals. So where is the money going to be invested? So Fairstone have what we call a managed portfolio service. Now we have what we call assured partners, and one of our assured partners is Brewin Dolphin. So we're going to invest this money in what we call the First Stone Brewing 5 Managed Portfolio Service. The reason it's the number 5 is because when we completed your attitude to risk questionnaire at the first meeting, your natural and agreed risk came out as a level 5. That is our mid-range between our 1 to 10, and so this matches your attitude to risk. So 100% of the money is going to go in there. We're using the assumed mid-growth rate of 2.5%. The charge for those funds is 0.441%. So for every year, the charges will be 0.441% of the value of that fund. So that's your first charge that we've talked about. What are some of the other charges? So obviously, somebody's going to manage this money. So as we said, we're putting it with the First Stone Brewing 5, the Managed Portfolio Service. So there is a portfolio manager fee charge for that, which is 0.3% of the fund value. And we also have a platform charge. So Std Life, we have to pay Std Life to manage the money on their platform. The platform charge starts off at 0.35% per annum, and this is based on a value of up to $99,999. And as you can see here, as the fund value increases, the platform charge reduces over each time the next step is achieved. So it starts off at 0.35, and if the fund was to get to over £1 million, the fund charge on anything over £1 million would be 0.1%. So as you can see, it does come down the more money is invested. There are also the charges for my advice. So we agreed at the first meeting that we would take a 3% charge of the single premium, so that works out at £750. We also agreed that you would become an Active Plan Plus client of First Stone, and what that means is we will charge you 1% per annum of the fund value. This covers our regular meetings. Any top-ups that we would do would all be covered by this 1% charge. To give you an example of what that would be, if the fund was £10,000, the 1% charge would be £100, and if it was £20,000, the advisor charge would be £200, and this is paid on a monthly basis, and it's taken out of your fund. So you're not going to have to pay it yourself; it is taken out of the fund. So charges have an effect on the growth. Now this table here has a number of examples of at the end of year 1, end of year 3, end of year 5, and at your retirement date. I'll just look at the effect of the charges at your retirement date. Again, this is all based on the mid-growth rate. So at the end of your time paying into the plan, you would have paid £266,184. If it grew at the mid-growth rate, which is the 2.5%, and after inflation, if there was no charges on the plan, it would be £596,000. That's with no charges. Obviously, there's investment charges and plan charges. If we were to just take those into account, that would reduce the fund by 1.1%, which would make it £485,000. If we then take all charges into account, so that's my advisor charge and my ongoing fees, this would reduce the fund to £400,000. So as you can see under the table, it says the average yearly cost of all charges, including the advisor charge, is the 2.1%. And this was what we referred to on the very front page about the yearly cost. So that is what happens with the effect of the charges. So as I said, these are all just illustrations. There's no guarantees in the plan. It's all made on assumptions, and it's here to give you an example. Do you have any questions?